Hello, everyone, and welcome back to what is kind of the animation revaluation podcast, and at the same time, not really. This is just an explanation about what's been going on with the podcast. We've taken a slight break, a slight hiatus. Um, for people who are watching consistently as it comes out, who watch live, you might have noticed that there was no episode last week. Uh, this will be the fill-in for that. For people who might be watching in the future, whether it be on audio only sites or something like Twitch or YouTube. Well, Twitch will delete the VOD by the time you watch it. So, YouTube, uh, this will just fill you in on something that happened. Uh, we had episode 11 planned out. We were going to watch Keijo. Me and Celeste, I'm Lizer by the way. We went through with it. We watched Keijo. We actually both enjoyed it. We did the whole podcast. We went live. We recorded it. Uh, hey, I'm Lizer by the way. For those of you who are watching, video, this is your first time seeing me if you only watch the podcast. I felt like adding my webcam here would help explain things a little better and give me something to focus on because obviously Celeste isn't here right now. So we went through, as you can see if you're watching visually, and we did the recording. We did the whole thing, going on Discord, sharing images. Here's uh, the title of it, the characters, so on and so forth. Everything went fine. I'm going to give a rundown of what the show was about in this video here. Uh, just so nothing's really missing. You're obviously not going to be able to hear Celeste's point of view because, again, she's not here for this. But this is just something I want to do to fill in the gap before we record and release a new episode 12. But what happened was we did the whole recording, and sorry if I rambled just now. We did the whole recording, and your boy here thought, hey, I've really been enjoying streaming. I'm only streaming on Twitch. I want to be able to stream to Twitch and YouTube and whatever else at the same time. So I took OBS, which is what I use to record, and I upgraded it to the Pro version. And that allowed me to, do those things. For whatever reason, when I upgraded it, all of my inputs, like for my microphone and all the other stuff, just went back to factory settings. And for some reason, uh, at the time I had a different webcam than I have now. It was a shittier one, for lack of a better term. And it had a microphone on it. And webcam microphones are not very good. Uh, so for whatever reason, it kept reverting back to the webcam mic. No matter how many times I would go into my settings, change it, right before recording, make sure everything was working right, it would just revert back. And that's what happened when we did our initial recording. So Celeste could hear me fine because we were on Discord, and Discord picked up my microphone. But the actual recording, what was on Twitch, what went on YouTube, what, saved to my hard drive, you can't hear me at all. Literally, the only thing you can hear from me in the entire recording is, here's what we're watching next week, see you then, at the end. That's it. And we recorded for maybe like 45 minutes. So all you could hear was Celeste responding to what I was saying. And for the most part, it wouldn't be that bad because I could always go in and redub and all that kind of stuff. But this was my episode, so I did a majority of the talking. So it was just huge gaps of just silence. And I couldn't fully recall what I was saying because, for the most part, I might script out some things, like just some general ideas of what I want to say for an episode, of like main plot points. But the actual meat of the episode just comes from discussion. And I can't remember exactly what it was that I was saying. So I was trying to go in and fill in the gaps, redub it for the longest time, to no avail because I just could not remember exactly what was said, and it came out as the most awkward thing. And I'm not the best editor when it comes to video and audio, or anything at all. Uh, so it was a hard time. So we thought, hey, why don't we just redo it? Like, okay, it's not the first time we've had to redo a recording. I think episode 2 of the podcast. This podcast has always been plagued with tech issues because Celeste and I are both newbies at this. We set a date to re-record. On that day, Celeste's internet goes down. Cool. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna keep trying to do the dub. My stuff isn't working. My stuff goes down. My microphone stops working. My mixer isn't being picked up by the computer. It's like this episode just could not happen. So I decided to just do this. I don't even think I told Celeste that I was doing this. Just to have something out there that way people know, whether it be people who are watching now or people who watch in the future again. So let me just jump in. I have like my original notes here. So I had here written, so Keijo, which some might know better as that one anime about the butts, is an anime based on the manga of the same name, written and illustrated by Daichi Soriyami. Basically, it's about an 18-year-old Nozomi Kaminashi, who's this girl right here with the white bandana. Again, if you're audio only, you can't really see what I'm talking about. Um, she wants to become the best and richest Keijo player. Now, what the hell is Keijo? Basically, it's a fictional sport where women stand on this floating object called a land, and they fight each other using only their breasts and butts. First to get knocked out or knocked into the water loses. In this universe, it's very popular to the point that they're considered world-class athletes. Nozomi gets into a specialized school with her friend Sayaka, who is white-haired girl, to train and meets other girls that she befriends and challenges along the way. Each girl has a style that fits into one of three categories, basically making them all either offensive, defensive, or counter-type fighters. The anime is basically a big excuse for fan service, I won't lie, but the funny thing is that it's actually pretty funny and has really cool moments, like the girls having special finishing moves that are just as big and flashy as something you might see in Dragon Ball Z or something. Sadly, the anime only has this one season because the manga series was cancelled. In my own research, I couldn't find a definitive answer as to why, but it seems like the publisher that the author worked with was basically snubbing him, on any support he asked for, leading to him overworking himself and his one assistant, which resulted in his work suffering. Sales dropped, and he was apparently told to start tying up the end for his manga before the anime even aired, which is sad because I have not heard from a single person yet that they didn't enjoy the show. Maybe a little too ecchi for some, but still enjoyable. Apparently, it even inspired some people in Portugal to start actually playing a real life version of the sport, with like padding and all this stuff on it. Um, but all of the support was overseas, and basically they only focused on the Japanese sale numbers, which resulted in the series being canned. And that was like all I had for notes. But when we did the original podcast, I didn't do that verbatim, which is why I couldn't really do the dub, because your boy couldn't remember what he said. So we went through and we introduced all the characters. So I just introduced these two. Uh, what is her name? Nan Toyoguchi is this girl's name, and she is a friend of the main character. They all live in a dorm room together, and she's the busty airhead, basically. This one is Alba Kazane, and she was the quiet, withdrawn girl, also a roommate of the main character, and she's like a genius when it comes to the sport, but is kind of withdrawn and shy, so she doesn't ever really reach her full potential, I believe. Uh, it's hard to remember because it's been like 2-3 weeks since we watched the show, and I just basically binged it all in a day. Um, we spoke about some of the special moves, so this one right here is called the titty hypnosis, which in the show is described as a forbidden technique, and it's just swaying the tits and hypnotizing someone. This is the girl who does that. She is Mio Kusaki, and she is top of the class for the incoming class of the Keijo that the main character is in. Um, God, it's hard to remember exactly everything. I should have prepared better since I knew I was going to do this recording. Uh, I spoke about, the special moves. This is the vacuum butt cannon, which the main character does by accident, and it's just like, whoa, I can't believe it. She really accomplished this move that some pros can't even do. And you see it's all flashy and everything. It really looks like a Dragon Ball attack. This is the teacher that she did it against because it was a practice thing. Uh, Nagisa Ujibe. And she is this very, for lack of a better word, rotund woman. But it actually shows flashbacks, and she used to be top class Keijo player called the Siren, and this is what she looked like. She was beautiful. Uh, that special move does damage, so the main character has to wear this suit to train her body to be able to take the damage from the special attack. It's like a double-edged sword, basically. Uh, talking about the animation here, and like this is something you would see from like a top-tier anime. Of course, ecchi scenes. I was just thinking that your butt looks a lot better now, and she's like feeling her up, and this is completely normal in this universe. I put in a meme. You like sports? No. Shows soccer or football for non-Americans. No, and then shows Keijo. I told Celeste that she was missing out on some stuff by not continuing. Like this was called the Wall of Bootylon or something like that. Did I name it? Hip of Babylon. Hip of Babylon. And it's like the girl just summons a bunch of asses. And we basically agreed that we both enjoyed it. There was nothing wrong, you know. Celeste didn't really like the ecchi aspect, but she got over it because it actually had a really good plot. She said she wouldn't continue it just because it's too much ecchi, but that she did enjoy it. And maybe if it came down to it where she just didn't have anything better to watch and she was just bored, she would watch. She would finish watching it. I described a little bit more of what would be coming up. So there was like a cross school tournament coming up uh, after we let off on the 5 episodes. I mentioned some characters that had like split personalities and stuff like that from the other school. That it actually gets really really good. But again, sadly, it was canceled. You know, only the good die young type of thing. Uh, but then Celeste was supposed to pick the next anime we watched, and this is what she ended up picking, which was Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles. Now, after going through all the trouble of this, episode and what it caused us, uh, we decided we had to delay the next episode. Finally, I started watching this when we decided, hey, the original decision was at the start of the next episode, just give a brief description of what happened. And obviously, this recording is going on like 15 minutes now. Oh, excuse me. So the description isn't very brief. uh, so we finally decided that. So I started to sit down and watch this, and I was like, hey, Celeste, this is an OVA series. I don't know who any of these characters are. They're talking about things I don't understand. Are you sure this is the right one? So she goes in, she looks at the link she sent me. I believe it was on Funimation. She was like, oh shit, this is the wrong one. So we started looking for the correct one. We couldn't find it. She got frustrated with it. She was like, can we just put out like a tweet or something saying, hey, we decided to change the anime and we just watched something else? Like, okay, no problem. Because honestly, just looking at this, I was not interested in watching this at all. So we decided to watch a rather new anime. God, that's a really small picture. Horimiya is what it's called. Horimiya. And it's like romance. Celeste is probably not going to watch this, so what I'm going to say is I actually know a lot about Horimiya because I followed the manga back when it first came out. And I actually ended up dropping it, not because I didn't like it, but because the totally legal app that I was using no longer updated it. Totally legal. So I'm excited to watch the anime and see how they adapted it. But that's basically it. That's all I really have to say. I don't know if we're going to be doing the podcast tonight, the 4th of March for those who are watching. This is usually when we would do it. It's usually every Thursday. Celeste isn't feeling the best right now, so I don't know. There'll be a tweet put out if we don't. But if you want to watch along, Horimiya, it's like we're gonna watch the first 5 episodes. I think there's only like 8 out at the time of recording this video, because it's really new. So if you want to watch along, it's on Hulu, and I hope you like it. But thanks for watching. Glad I was able to put this out just to explain. I didn't really have much time for setup. This was just like a spur of the moment thing, so sorry for the background noise from the neighbors and police sirens going on in the background. But that's not really new for anyone who watches my streams. Have a good one, everyone. Have a damn good time.